Hello, thanks for coming. We're going to talk today about debugging Envoy tunnels. So whether you're using Envoy directly or you're using it through some service mesh, we're going to show you what things could go wrong and how to debug them and fix them. Hopefully something that you will find useful for your day-to-day work.
OK. I'm Alexandra Stoica. I'm a site reliability engineer at Adobe. I want to say that this is my first KubeCon and first time as a speaker at a conference ever, so I'm very happy for that. I spend my days managing cloud infrastructure, automating everything inside, and making sure mostly Kubernetes behaves. I like to say that for me is like coaching a team of unpredictable gymnasts, because I used to be a gymnast myself. So turns out balancing on a beam was great training for balancing performance, cost, and scalability in the cloud. The only difference, when things go wrong in tech, at least I don't land on my face.
And I'm Carlos. I'm a principal scientist at Adobe, and I've been working with open source for a long time. You probably heard about the Jenkins Kubernetes plugin that has been now over 10 years, and I started that. And we're both working at Adobe Experience Manager Cloud Service.
OK, before we dive in, I want to tell you about what Adobe Experience Manager actually is. Short is AM. It is a CMS, a content management system, that helps enterprises build, manage, and deliver content at scale. You create your content, hit publish, and boom, it's out there for the world to see. Technically speaking, AM is a distributed Java OSJ application. It is a bunch of open source components from the Apache Software Foundation. And one of the coolest things about AM is its huge market of extension developers. That means people write code, and then we run it on AM for them. Customers used to run AM on-premise or in other cloud setups, but a while ago, we launched Adobe Experience Manager as a cloud service. That means we handle everything for our customers: deployment, scaling, upgrades, and all of that is running on Azure. Right now, we have over 60 clusters worldwide. And since this is a content management system, people wanted to run their content as close as possible to their users. So we deploy AM in almost any region we can get our hands on. What about our scale that we're operating at? Think of an AM environment as a fully stocked kitchen. You have everything you need to serve and prepare content. Customers can create multiple environments whenever they want. And we have a huge bunch of those. Over 31,000 environments, more than 200,000 Kubernetes deployment objects, and over 20,000 namespaces across our clusters. But why did we need Envoy? Our customers wanted something very specific, and one of those things was dedicated egress IPs. That means when their traffic leaves our clusters, they wanted a unique unshared IP address because it was more secure for them. They also wanted private connections to their data centers or other cloud services like VNet peering, private links, express route, direct connect, and VPNs. So we asked ourselves, how can we do that most effectively? And that's when Envoy came in. Let's see, who here uses Envoy? OK, lots of you. We also. It is an open source edge and service proxy designed for cloud-native applications. It focuses on service-to-service communication, handling retries, circuit breakings automatically. It can handle load balancing. It manages communication using TLS certificates, and it provides a deep observability. So the beauty of Envoy is that it simplifies complex network problems. And yeah, this is what we're working on, leveraging Envoy to meet our customers' needs for private networking, dedicated egress IPs, and port forwards. And trust me, the journey has been as fun as debugging a production issue on a Friday at 5 p.m. Right, so let's switch things up.
Yep.
It's time for a quiz with live demos, where we'll explore some scenarios of what can go wrong in mTLS communication.
Yeah, let's put this up there. Do you want to scan it too? Oh, no. Okay.
I don't have my phone.
Okay. So we're going to show you several scenarios as much as the time allows, and we're going to go, and you're going to help us figure out what's wrong and how to debug it, right? So I'm going to give you some time there. I'm going to start the first scenario. OK, that's going on. And OK. Can you see it OK on the back? Yeah? OK, nobody complaining. So we have, oh, actually, I forgot to show the, yes. That we're going to do the debugging, and I like this quote that is like being a detective in a crime movie. You are also the murderer. You are also the one looking for you are the one holding the knife. So what we have here on the demos or the scenarios we're going to go through, we have two envoys talking to each other over mTLS, and we have a client connecting to a local envoy. And that envoy talks to the let's call it downstream, upstream envoy over mTLS using a certificate authority, generating certificates for both sides. And the upstream envoy talks to a service. So from the client, which we're going to be using curl, to the service, all this path between envoy to envoy is secure with mTLS. So all the scenarios are going to be the same. And we're going to go through some failure scenarios. And yeah, we're going to call it downstream, upstream, and it's simple. And the source code is already in. It's going to be it's in GitHub, and I'll show the link later. So let's see. The first scenario. Everybody got the OK, the Kahoot, good. The first scenario, I'm going to get the logs from curl envoy downstream and envoy upstream. And why is this not? OK. This should be working. OK, this is running. Curl is getting 503 errors. So curl is trying to reach the service through the envoy tunnel, and is getting 503s. Now, why is this not showing me the logs? OK, I don't know. So the first, let me try to figure this out. And then let's start with the first question. Come on. Yes. What do you think we should check next to figure out why these 503 errors are happening? Should we look at increase the logging on the upstream, increase the logging in the downstream, check the metrics, check the downstream certificates, check the upstream certificates, or move to a cabin in the middle of nowhere with no internet?
I would do that.
Which look like this place that has no internet. But anyway, so all the questions are going to be more or less the same, and you tell me what to do. OK, increase logging on the upstream side. OK, why is this? Let's do this. So one way to increase the logging, we're going to do docker compose exec. You said upstream, right? What's upstream? Upstream. If you have the admin console open, the admin port open on the envoys, you can do a request and increase the logging. So I go and say everything, increase the logging to debug. Now you get a lot of noise, and think that this is just making one request per second. When you are looking for issues, this is not very helpful, because maybe you are getting hundreds, thousands of requests, and there's a lot of noise. So one thing that we can do here, although if you have good view, you probably saw something going through there. Let's put back the level to info, and you can do the by component. And an interesting component where you can increase the logging is the connection. So I have put back the log level to info and increasing the log level to debug only in the connection component. And now what I see is a nicer, easy to find OpenSSL internal. Let me stop this a bit. Certificate expire, TLS error N. So if you want to, if you have the log level info by default, you're never going to see this. Envoy does not treat this as an error. It's just something that you would see if you are doing debugging. So now we know some certificate is expired. Let me see. What we should do next. It's up to you. So same questions as before, and the extra one is use IP OAC to tunnel the traffic. If anybody does not know what is IP over AC, you look it up, tell me later. And most people are saying check the upstream certificates. OK. So to check the upstream certificates, let's see, it's Docker, compose, exec, and it was, what was this? It was a cat, I think, here. The upstream, the cat. Envoy. Upstream, SH, and I go and see the certificate. There's a lot of text here. And I see that certificate is not valid after March 19. So this case, the certificate is expired on the upstream. Other ways of doing this in an easier way, you can just put dates, and you get just the dates. If you know what you're looking for, it's a lot easier to get the information. So first scenario, well done. The certificate is expired. We found the problem. Let's go to the second scenario. OK. Wait, Docker. Let's see if they are not running. They are still running or not. Compose down, just in case. And let's start it again. OK. And now let's see if this time the logs work. No, logs. OK, for some reason the logs don't work here. I'm going to blame it on the internet. Anyway, same case as before. By default, we only see that curl, the client, is getting 5 of 3 errors. So what should we do next? I put it in 10 seconds, so maybe you have to be agile. So same things as before. Check increase login, check metrics, check certificates, or look for HTTP 418 responses. And you are saying increase logging on upstream side. 418 HTTP, everybody knows what that is? If not, look it up. increase logging on upstream side. So let's go again. Docker. And this time, we are just going to increase the logging, compose, exec. No. Docker, compose, exec, curl, upstream, connection debug. And now, we get a certificate verify failed in the logs. That doesn't tell us much, does it? So the only error upstream is certificate verify failed. So what should we do next?
I would rewrite Kubernetes.
Yeah, white space programming language. If you haven't heard of it, look it up. OK, now downstream certificates. Oops, wait. Let's go. The downstream certificates. So this was Docker Compose exec, and the downstream. Very long certificate thing. And the certificate is still valid. So what could be wrong here? I don't even remember what was this scenario. OK. And we can see the dates, and we can see more information. Wait a second. So we can see the subject, we can see the DNS, we can see things here. So what should we do next? So the certificate is not expired. OK, then now we have a tie. Increase logging on downstream side and check upstream certificates. I'm going to go with check upstream certificates. And the certificates upstream are also not expired.
We should look for who signed them, maybe.
I don't know. It's too bad that I don't remember what was the problem.
We have it in the notes.
Yeah. And if we look at the whole certificate, yeah, we don't see nothing obvious. Somebody else was saying increase the logging on the other side. What was the side? So this was upstream. Now we have to increase the logging the downstream because it was a tie. Curl. It was downstream. Yes, downstream, upstream, and now we can see a bit more the information. So the problem is unknown CA. That means the certificate is signed by an authority that one of the envoys does not recognize. Actually, in this case, it was the unknown CA on the downstream. If we go and look at the upstream and downstream, what was the? Wait a second. There's one way here to see it, just with the. This is the upstream. And we see the downstream, and is the CN. Yeah, you can see here somewhere that one of the CAs, or sorry, one of the CNs is different from the other one. So the certificates are. Is it that the certificates are signed by two different CAs?
Yeah.
Was that it? Yes, OK. So we can stop this one. and go to another scenario.
One that we remember, maybe.
Too late. OK. OK, this is starting. This is a slightly different one. And ignore the Grafana errors, just the curl ones. So curl cannot resolve, cannot connect, basically, or resolve. And is not even able to connect. If we do Docker, well, actually, I'm going to ask you what we should do next. Curl is not able to connect to Envoy, not getting any traffic. We still have 8 minutes. Good. OK, you are saying there's a mixture. People are like, yeah, OK, something or another. Check metrics. Wow, OK. I don't think we're going to find much in metrics, but we can do. We have a dashboard here. Is it loaded? And because it's shared across the scenarios, let's go into the last 5 minutes. And there's no connections here. There's no connections, basically. There's nothing showing up. There's a request here on the upstream. No. Yeah, with this small amount of time is not great, but because we have to ignore the previous times. But basically, it looks like there's no traffic, no connections going on. So what should we do next? You didn't think you were coming here to work, right? You're going to say, I'm not coming back to this guy's talks ever again.
Ever.
Increase logging on the downstream side. So Docker, compose, exec, compose. Well, actually, it's going to be faster if I find it here. And you say the downstream. Downstream, downstream, downstream. Here. And oops, something happened. Nothing happened. If I go and look at Docker Compose status, it's not the status, Docker Compose PS. And yeah, the downstream is not running. It is here, exited 3 minutes ago, the downstream. So we can go and look at the logs, Docker, compose, logs, Envoy, downstream. And an error here, Envoy refuses to start at all because the private key it's the key values mismatch, which means the key in the key in the certificate is the key and certificate do not match. How do you know that besides this error is with a bit of a complicated OpenSSL command. I have it here. Is this because the container is not running anymore? I can find here that the modulus of one of the certificate does not match the modulus of the key. This, you may think this is a bit complicated or a bit hard to break it this way, but when you are renovating certificates, if the key is copied before the certificate or you have some sort of race condition, you end with this, and Envoy will refuse to start. These are all scenarios that we hit. I mean, we are probably bad at doing this, but these are the scenarios that we hit. And I think we go to the last one. We don't do the fourth. This one is a bit more complicated. We have just 4 minutes left. And Docker compose app. Wait. Pause. So let's just stop the other one, just in case. Come on, Docker compose app. And we're getting, are we in the right direction? Yeah, we're getting a mixture of 503 errors and 200 errors. So there's not much time left, so I'm not going to ask you. You can rest for now. And if I go to the dashboards, this should start getting traffic soon. And when we have a mixture of successful requests with failed requests, what you realize is, OK, the certificates might be right, because if not, I would get errors all the time. And there's some things that you can look into the metrics. One of them is the overflow. And we see there's a number of connections here. We are pounding the Envoy with connections. We are doing a lot of connections. And one of the envoys, upstream or downstream, is rate limiting us and causing those connections to not go through. And the only way you have, or the best way you have to know it, is going into the overflow or rate limiting, depending on how you configure Envoy. So if you're using the defaults, it takes a number of connections, but if, for whatever reason, your client is not closing the connections properly, you may end up with a number of connections that exceeds the thresholds of Envoy, and Envoy is going to start closing the connections on the upstream, for instance, and the client is not going to see that the connection is not established. It's just going to see that you're getting 503s, and that trips a lot of people saying, why I'm getting a 503 error. That means that the upstream Envoy is not able to cope with the number of connections.
That happened also.
That also happened, yes. So the resources, you can see all this is the official documentation of Envoy. TLS, Sandbox's TLS, good examples about how to use TLS with Envoy. The double proxy is this configuration where you have Envoy upstream and downstream, they talking to each other. And the last one is this demo where you can see the different scenarios and use Docker Compose to start them up. And this is the QR for the feedback. If you have good feedback, you can put it there. If you have bad feedback, you can give it to us personally. And hopefully this will help you if you're using Envoy, again, directly, or there's a lot of services out there that use Envoy, service mesh, things like that. If you see problems, hopefully you got some ideas of how could go wrong and how to check it. Yes? Thank you.
Thank you.